This is my open source space shooter made in Godot and freely available on GitHub under an MIT license. Link in the video description and pinned comment. Credit for the opening music goes to Free Music Lab on Pixabay, also linked below. In this video I'm going to go over what's new since the last video, how you can support me, what's coming up next for this project, and how to make your own levels if you download the project. First of all, what's new? Lots of stuff updated since the last video I made. I'm going to continue to update to the latest version of Godot, which has already been done. I added in mouse and keyboard controls. So before that, I was playing this game with a USB Xbox controller. That's how I like to do this. I don't actually own a joystick. I know a billion people have recommended to me that I get a joystick and make it for that. Obviously, it's kind of set up for that sort of thing, but I'll get around to it eventually. For now, though, I understand a lot of people use mouse and keyboard. There are completely adequate mouse and keyboard controls implemented, and the main menu will show you all the button layouts when you select that option. Added in an infinite asteroid field. Haven't done anything with it yet other than to have it and you can fly around, but there it is. Capital ships now have guns, turrets, and move about the battlefield. There is a carrier capital ship that now spawns in fighters at regular intervals. Collisions now cause damage and have a sound effect, and the amount of damage depends on both your speed and the angle of collision. Made a variety of tweaks to the reticles to make them feel a little bit juicier. Audio and visual feedback on hits has also been added in. There's now sound cues and a little flicker of the target lead indicator, different colors depending on what kind of hit you got. And there have been many more bug fixes and small additions. I don't have a Patreon or a Buy Me a Coffee at this time, but what I do have is a new novel that just came out. I love science fiction, and I bet you either love science fiction too, or you know somebody who does. Tallboy's Son just released, and it's about a divorced alcoholic who dreams of being a great starfighter pilot. Think The Last Starfighter, but depressing. Just kidding. Kind of. It's a serious story about addiction and responsibility, and it's available from all retailers in all formats, including audiobook. If that sounds a bit heavy for you, then consider Crew of Exiles. It's my debut novel that came out 4 years ago, and it's a bit brighter in tone, though with some hard-hitting emotions mixed in. It is also available from all retailers, including as an audiobook. If I had my way, I'd spend all my time writing science fiction and making space games. Until then, it would absolutely make my day if you read, listened to, or recommended to a friend Crew of Exiles or Tallboy's Son. What's next for this project? The plan is to make a race course level and a shooting gallery in order to have a place where I can improve the feel of controls, guns, and missiles. Likewise, there's some camera adjustments on the docket, both for ease of debugging and also for quality of life. I need to make the NPC fighters avoid collisions with capital ships and asteroids. There's also significant friendly fire from the turrets that's happening currently that I'm going to investigate and try and fix. After that, it may be time to dive into Blender and make some coherent assets to put into play. All of this is informal, and I may change my mind, but that's the plan for what's coming up next. Lastly, let me show you how to make a level should you choose to download the project. This is your folder structure here. If you open up levels, we have the levels here. This is badly named. Some of these levels are absolutely just tests of various aspects of the game. But in any case, the first thing you would do is you would right click here and you would create a new folder. The next thing you would do is you would go up and create a new 3D scene with a node 3D as root. You're welcome to change the root node to main or root or whatever you want. I'm going to leave it as node 3D for now. You want to attach a level.gd script onto this node. So navigate into the scripts and there's level.gd. So attach that. And basically what this does is sets up a reference to the world environment, sets up references to the two different teams that will be involved. Currently the game is only set up to have the red team and the blue team. Anyway, it sets up a bunch of references and a few other things. Next up, we should add in a world environment variable. So I'm going to go to the 3D view and click on the pull-down menu here and add environment to scene. I'm going to change this all later, so the default settings are fine. Probably at the same point in time, I might as well go ahead and add in the directional light. I will probably also adjust that, but for now I'll just pop it right into the scene. So let's add in the two team nodes. So I'm going to click on the node 3D and I'm just going to add in two more node 3Ds. And I'm going to rename the first one of those red team. And I'm going to rename the second one blue team. And by the way, this is all, I just referred to my own level number 3 just as like a reference for how I put this together. It's one of the more recent levels that I've created, but it does have like a nice skybox and directional light and the 2 teams, and it's a nice little level. So if you want to refer to that one in your own building of any levels you want, that would be a good place to look. Now onto these, I need to attach the team scripts. So I click to add a script, and I'm going to navigate. I'm already in the scripts folder, and I'm looking for team setup is the name of the script. That's what I called it. So attach that one there, and then same thing over here. And now if you click there and look in the inspector, you'll see that there is a default team name, just a string. Make sure you change the blue teams one to blue team rather than red team. We're going to add in a victory layer. This is a scene I created. I haven't actually used it to its full capability yet. But basically, if you type in victory down here in the file system and drag and drop the victory layer scene onto your root node, you'll now have that. That will display up when you either win or lose the level. I'm going to have to add code later for like special levels like the racing level or the target destroying level to trigger that properly. But for now, it's a good thing to add in. You can, of course, investigate its script in more detail at your leisure. So after that, you should probably add anything at all to your teams. I usually put the player on the blue team and then the enemies on the red team. So I'm going to grab the player fighter right here scene in the file system and drag and drop that onto the blue team right there. And what's nice about these team setup scripts is that they just go and look at all their children and their children's subtrees, and anything that is tagged with one of the group properties that it is a team, they'll like apply colors potentially. They'll tell them that, hey, you're a part of this team or the other team. So there's a lot of nice convenient stuff there. And then let's see here. Can I just drag and drop? I think you just drag and drop ships in, as I recall. So I'm just going to drag and drop like 2 fighters onto the red team. Not very much detail here. You would also then need to go into the 3D view and just make sure they're not all positioned right on top of each other. That would be important. They will receive their team colors when the script actually loads up. And so we can, I don't know, point them all in slightly different directions. You would also want to go into world environment and add in a skybox. There's lots of good tutorials for that. I don't think I'm going to do that right now. You can also just sort of, again, compare to level 3 and check out how my environment's skybox is set up and look at all the settings there. And I've got under assets a few different skyboxes that I've used in my game. Let's save it into levels, and this will be the start of my race course level, even though that's not really what I'm doing with it. But for now, we'll just save it in there. I'll rename it race course scene or something like that. And now how do we actually get to this, right? Because we would like there to be a button to load in the levels. When you run the game, you will see this screen, and along the left are a bunch of different buttons for the different levels, and we'd like to load in the new one that I've created as an option. By the way, since I'm here, load 3, that's the level 3 that I was talking about. This is what it looks like. Oh, I forgot to set mouse controls, and I'm on the mouse, so I actually can't steer. Let's try that again. All right, here we go. It does start off with all the enemies just blasting you in the face, which is not very fair, but that is how I started it. That's obviously easy to change. Anyway, it's a very pretty level. I'm pretty happy with it. But let's add in that new level that I just created. Oh, it is worth mentioning that there is a lot of debugging in the current version. I actually don't know if I've pushed this up to GitHub yet, so you might not be seeing this. But I'm trying to prevent the turrets from doing friendly fire, and it's actually not going great. But in any case, I don't think I've actually pushed that up to GitHub yet. So that's not in the version you'll see there. Go to your main scene. So it's literally in the scenes folder, I believe it is named main scene. And you want to go into the menu and then the HBox container and then the scene options vertical box right there. And I'm going to just do Control A on the vertical box there and add in a button. And I'm going to name it Load 12 Race Course. You can, of course, name yours whatever you want. Just copying the naming convention from 11, and I'll paste in the text there and call it Race Course to do. I might put to do on that just for my own sake to remind myself that I have not actually created anything resembling a race course. You see all these other buttons use a particular theme. Yeah, so it's just under theme. All right, so if I go down to theme down here, nope, theme, and load in quick load, button theme. It's all the same theme right there. There's only 2 themes that I have in this whole project. So anyway, now it has the proper theme. And next you want to go, while that button is selected, go over and when it is pressed, we would like to call onload racecourse in the main scene here. So this is in main scene.gd. Scroll all the way to the bottom. I actually don't want it quite at the bottom because we got some other stuff there. So just cut and paste it up here after all the other loads. And yeah, there's this load level method that you just need to give it the path to your scene relative to the root folder. So let's see here. So minimize that. Right, so the easiest way to do this is probably in the file system, just right click on your scene and go copy path and then paste it in right here. Except you don't want the .scene on the end, and you actually don't need the root folder there and then the levels. You actually don't want that. The function, the load level function, if you go look at it, it tacks on the extra text that is needed. It assumes that it's a scene, and it assumes that it's in the level subfolder. So that should do it. Let's see if that at all worked. All right, so there's the button down here. Let me remember to change into mouse mode. I usually honestly like the controller. I use a USB Xbox controller just plugged into my PC. So that is the default setting, and I do fly inverted. I'm sorry to everyone who doesn't. So that is my default. I always have to change it to mouse, and with the mouse, I don't fly inverted because that's counterintuitive to me. When you switch from mouse to keyboard or vice versa, it does change the panel on the right to tell you what all the buttons are. All right. And the victory screen pops up right away because, why does it pop up right away? I shouldn't have won. So let me investigate that real quick. I think there is a little fix I need to do. Yeah, there's nothing else really to it. It's just that the victory layer should start off, the visibility should be off by default. There we go. Try it again. All right, let's go see if I can kill these guys real quick here. Oh wait, are they actually not flying? Oh, they're not flying. You need to attach a controller script to them to make them actually do anything. And I can show you how to do that. All right, so as soon as that guy blows up, there it is, victory screen. And I can either retry, which replays the level, or I can just quit back to the main menu. And I'll click quit, and now I'm back here. So again, referring to any of the existing levels that are proper levels, such as level 3, is a good way to do it. And what you'll see here is that my NPCs have an NPC controller attached to them. Otherwise, they just sit there. I like this method of doing things because there are certain levels, like the initial shooting gallery, where I want a whole bunch of ships just sitting there doing nothing for testing purposes. The shooting gallery looks like this. It is testing a different skybox, and it's got some untextured blocks and a bunch of targets. But it's also got all of the ships so far just sitting out here in space so that I can test targeting and, blowing up the shields and various other things and see how everything looks. In my new race course level, I need to go into the file system, and I'm just going to type in NPC controller right there. There's a separate capital ship controller because the capital ships have a different system. But if I just drag and drop the NPC's controllers onto the fighters right there, I believe that'll do it. All right, and there they go. And they should come around and fire at me in a half second here. Yep, there he goes. Bam, bam, bam. Ouch. All right. Oh, and the other one hit me with a missile. That's going to just about wrap us up. Thank you again for your interest in this project. I am super happy with how it's coming along. I will probably make a lot more progress on this in the summer as I am on a teaching schedule, a college schedule. I'm committed to keeping this project free and open source on GitHub, so you're welcome to download it, give it a try. And lastly, it would mean the world to me if folks would check out my books. I'm just a self-published author with these 2 little books that haven't got a lot of publicity, so it would be really awesome if you gave them a chance. I think they're fantastic. I spend my time practicing my writing and practicing my game dev, and that's what I want to be doing. So give them a shot and check them out.